Hello and welcome to my channel. I'm T with Three Sage Creates, and this is just a craft along with me. I'm working on a new Christmas in July project and I need some tags. So I wanted to use these. These are the Dinah Wakely Media 3-inch square tags. So this is the 3-inch square tags. I bought these in a set. These are the 3-inch square tags, and then these are the 4-inch square tags. I went ahead and tea dyed them so that they're a little bit distressed looking, and this is just from when they were laying on the paper. It wasn't completely dry or the tea ran underneath. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then 3 smaller. Okay, so my thought is I need 10 of them for this project. So I wanted to just do a variety of stamping. So I do have this stamps and frames, and I thought that these would be cool because these have the actual shadow, the background, and then the outline, so I can stamp over. So I'm thinking that I may use those. I may also use some of these. Not sure. I also wanted to add some sentiments, so I did pull this collection out. I know it's backwards. I should probably fix that, right? Here's a Simon Says stamp, Making Spirits Bright. Let me see. This stamp collection is making spirits bright. So there are some stamps here, and then here are just some actual more Sizzix stamps. These are actually, I don't think that they're the same as these guys where I have the shadow. They're not. They're just regular stamps, which is fine. And then I have these guys, Tim Holtz, and then I have some of this Iron Orchid Designs, these very, very large stamps, but I thought some of these might make some nice stamping. So let me set these aside. And the inks I'm working with today, I think I'm going to start with these. And the inks that I'm working with today are, I'm going to use my Distress Oxide. So I just pulled out a variety. So I've got Walnut Stain, Lumberjack, Plaid, Forest Moss, Fired Brick, Evergreen Bough, Rustic Wilderness, Cracked Pistachio, and Pine Needles. So let me put my greens together so they're a little bit easy to reach for. And then my reds. All right, and then my Walnut Stain. And then I have some Walnut Stain Distress ink for the edges. And then I have VersaFine Onyx Black. This is my favorite permanent. And then I also have VersaFine Claire and Pine Cone. So I have a black and a brown for outlines and sentiments. Okay, let's get started. Maybe I'll start with some of the smaller ones. Just see how this is going to go. I am going to use my Misty since I'm going to be stamping over. Let me push some of this back. Make sure that this is in view. All right. So maybe do this guy here. That's what I'm thinking. Let me see if I can find that. I haven't actually used this yet. It is brand new. So let's see what we've got. I already lost a stamp. Okay, this looks like this is the shadow. And then this is the permanent. Oh, but then this looks like the shadow also. Okay, and then these are the berries. Okay, let's play around with it and see what we get. I don't know why they're different. Maybe there are instructions. Again, first time I'm using this, maybe I should have checked it out before. And no, there aren't. So we're just going to play around and figure out how this goes. This is actually a little bit longer than I thought. So let me use one of the big ones. We'll step it up since I don't know what I'm doing yet. I was going to do the colored part first, but maybe we'll go ahead and start off with a pattern. That way I know how to line these up. So we'll go ahead and start out with the outline. These are brand new. I haven't primed them yet. I think if I just give it a little rub, it should be enough. All right, let me try my VersaFine. So if you have a set of these stamps, they're the 49 in Market. I picked these up, I think in December. All right. Let me wipe this off. So if you have a set of these, then we're going to try this together. See what this looks like. All right, we set that aside. And then this looks like it covers more area than the other one. And I don't necessarily want them like exactly on there. This covers more area, so I think that I'm going to do that in a little bit of a lighter color and then do a darker on top, because this one looks like it covers. So let me see. This one that's on the plate looks like it does some of this lighter, and then this looks like it comes in with some of that darker. So that's what I'm going to try. Maybe a rustic wilderness. Look at that forest moss. Okay, we'll do rustic wilderness and then we'll do forest moss, and hopefully those are actually true to color and that works. And I don't want this to be exact. Like I said, it doesn't have to lay exactly on it. So I'm going to give it a little bit of a spritz and see if maybe I can make this run just a tad bit. Take some paper towel and wipe that up and see what we've got. All right, so let's set that one aside and we'll try with the next one. And I probably shouldn't add as much water as I did. Okay, let's go in with the one that's a little bit darker. Now we're going to do forest moss. Yeah, I mean, it works a little bit. Doesn't look terrible. Okay, and then the berries. Isn't that cool? They're all on one stamp. There we go. Berries. Just gives a hint of color, which is totally fine. Okay. So let's do some lumberjack plaid. I do want these to look kind of rustic and worn, so that's why I'm not really concerned with everything being exactly as it should be. There we go. All right. Let me set that aside and we will keep going. I want to try a lot of these different stamps that I've got out here. Let's try this larger one. All right, perfect. At least I won't lose them, right? Okay. Let's try this one now. Yeah, we'll do this side, it's fine. All right, here is my outline. I haven't primed this either. What does this look like so I have the correct orientation? Yep, like that. That'll be good. That is good. I'm worried about that corner. It lifts like that, so it might end up, you know, smearing. We're not looking for perfection though, so I don't want to spend a lot of time like fiddling with it, right? I'm just going to get it down and keep moving because I've got 10 of these to do. All right, and then what did we decide? This is going to be the larger, so this will be the lighter color. Okay, it goes like this. And the only way I was able to tell that was because of the outlines of the berries. That was it. Otherwise, I would not have known. So I'm going to use my lighter of the greens that I have pulled here. So that's my rustic wilderness. And I am going to give him a little spritz. And maybe I won't get the ink pad impression this time. Where is my... All right, let's pick up some of that excess. I actually really like that. Okay, let's pull this guy off and go to the next one. All right, again, so see, I don't know if you can see here, it has the missing spaces for the berries, and that was the only reason why I knew which way to line that up after a second. So there, we'll do the same here. Oops, and that's where that goes. So this is really cute. If you don't have this collection already, you might pick it up. I'm kind of tempted to spritz that a little bit. Oh, you know what? I grabbed pine needle instead of my forest moss. And that's what I did. So we have something completely different now. It's okay. I put my forest moss way over here to the side. So I just reached over and grabbed my pine needle, and that is a totally different green value, and that's okay. It's okay. We're gonna roll with it. It's fine. Let's see. All right, my lumberjack plaid. And then I think the other, pretty sure now that other piece that I did not pick up is the for the bow. So let's go back to this, because I was looking at it and I'm like, I don't know what this is for. And it is for the bow. So there we go. So let's pull that off. We'll try some more lumberjack plaid. I guess it would help if I picked the stamp up first though, right? I'm going to put a little bit of water on this. Get some of this off the edges. Let's see how that goes. There we go. And we're not done. This is just the kind of first layer of these. So, all right, let me set that aside to dry. Now let's move on to something maybe a little bit different. Let's grab this little guy. I might be able to use these for this, because I've got these little guys here. Little pine needles and stuff. All right. Yeah, those will be good. Kind of want that to go off the edge. But my thought is I also would like to give it some color. I'm going to stamp this one, I think, in the pine cone. Actually, no, I'm not. I'm going to stamp it in the black. I am going to stamp this one in the black. There we go. Set that aside. I'm just tossing them to the side, so I'm actually going to have to put all these stamp sets back together again. Actually, I'm going to use this side because I kind of like this, and I'm going to put this one over here. I like all the texture on that, so I'm going to see what that does. And again, I got that because I was tea dyeing those, and I had some tea out, and I was just using my foam brush, and I had them on some parchment paper, so it just it warped the parchment paper underneath, and it settled into the lines, and so that's what ended up causing that. Okay. We're going to use our Misty for a dual purpose. Let's see. I want to get some of this moving. don't want all of this in here. So let's see. I'm just trying to pick up these little bits here. Blot that off. I'm just trying to add a little bit of color. Maybe too much water. Let me get some of this forest moss in here with the rustic wilderness on this side. I should let it sit longer so that it really gets in there, but I'm not. I just want it to have a little bit of color. And I don't know if the camera is picking it up. I do have color on this end. It is translating on my end. There we go. Set that aside, and I'm going to do the same with this guy. I'm going to try to pick up some of this water in here. Pick up some of the extra color. Oh, I like that. I might come in here for some more. Kind of dabbing it like this is actually, see, look, it picked up a little bit better. There we go. All right, let those dry. And I'm going to clean off my work surface. I didn't have to pull out my Teflon mat. Dual purpose. Okay. I'm going to set these aside to dry, and then let's see what else we've got. I like this guy. What do we think of this cracked pistachio and doing some of these guys in here, putting some stamps down in here? I'm going to flip this over. I did some stamping the other day, and I think some of it stamped off the edge, and so I've got some of the actual ink on the foam, and it was getting onto the back side. So if I stamp off, I need to remember that. So let's see, I'm going to move this to the side a little bit. And that's the thing about stamping, the Distress Oxides, they really weren't made for stamping. So you're not going to get like great images when you stamp, but that's fine because I just want them to be kind of hints, not really like, you know, bam, in your face images. And I'm going to do a second generation stamp over here. Wipe that off so I'm not going to transfer like I did last time. Let me see, do I want a little bit more? Maybe a tiny bit up here, or do we like this? I'm going to do a tiny bit up here. So let me see if I can get this in the right position. There we go. Just a little hint. All right, let me set that aside. Wasn't sure that I would actually like that color, but I do. All right, let's move this little, oh my goodness, move this big snowflake out of the way. And I like this tree. I'm going to do that right there, like that. And I have used this tree in another project. What do I want to do this in? I think I'm going to do it in the rustic wilderness. I'm going to go over it with a little bit of the... I dabbed a tiny bit of the forest moss on there. I am going to spritz it just a tad. Just some droplets. I hope you can see this. Start working further and further out of camera view. Okay. Perfect. I don't want to dab too much because I don't want to transfer. Perfect. Okay. Let me set that aside. I want these to have kind of a similar fill in that they kind of match and go together for this one project, but I don't want them to all look the same, if that makes sense. And then these guys, I think that this one would look great on this. And I'm not worried about putting color behind these. These I'm just going to stamp. And I think, let me see, which one is the, we'll do this side. And I think I'm just going to use that pine cone. Oh, and then I get to move this because this is one of my red rubber. There we go. Perfect. Clean this off. And then maybe one more, maybe one of the larger ones here. Okay, so this isn't all going to fit. So let me move this up a little bit. We will put this at the 6 right here. And I realized, am I doing this the wrong way? I've always done it this way, and I think it was intended to be turned the other direction, but oh well. All right, so it's going to be off a little bit, but that is fine. I need to get one of those little hand things that presses this down. Beautiful. All right, let me dry this off in here. I'll clean off my stamp. All right, what do I have left? I've got these two guys left, so I can do 2 more. So let's see. I am going to use this guy on something else. I'm going to set that aside. Might use this guy too. Just like a little seed. Let me see. And then I was thinking about using maybe one of these large images. I don't know which one, like this guy or something that just completely goes off. What if I did that? I couldn't put this in the holder though. Put my foam back in here. These are the designs. I mean, how awesome would this look? So I basically only have one go at it if I do this. Maybe I should do it this direction. We're going to give it a try. I'm going to give it a try. So, you know, why not? Why not? I think I'm going to use this brown. And hopefully this isn't too awkward. Let me put the lid on it because I will put my hand right in it. All right. So I've got the magnet holding it in place. And then I'm going to go ahead and press. And I've got the block on the edge of this. So I don't know what's happening underneath and if it's actually transferred or not. I think I'm doing this the wrong way. I think that I should have done it this way, which is the way I typically do the larger stamps, so that you can press them in. Okay, it worked and it turned out gorgeous, but I should have definitely done it the opposite way. So typically, and I forget this because I haven't used my large background stamps in forever. So usually when you're working with a super large background stamp or something that's large, I should have put it on this and had it stick and then applied, you know, applied the applied the paper to it. But we can try it again. We can try it with this guy. I mean, why not? You can see that image coming through. How pretty is that? Let me make sure I get this up here. All right. I think it's nice and juicy. We're going to go straight down. And I'm just pressing and then up. So I just missed a little bit over here, but that's fine. Look at how gorgeous that is. So I was able to use that massive stamp, and that's typically how you would do that. So since you only get one stamp and you don't really get to position it and stamp again multiple times, you really have to get it right the first time. So maybe practice first. I don't do that around here. I just go for it. Who needs practice? But maybe you would practice it first, you know, on maybe some scratch paper or something. Plus, I find that especially with the backgrounds, if you ink them up twice, if you ink it, stamp it, and then ink it again, it really you get a better ink that way. I hope that made sense. I'm just okay. Look Okay, I'm gonna set these aside. I want to go back to, no, not this guy. I want to go back, these two guys, because I'd like to add some of my little pine cones to them. And I think I'm just going to add this guy here. It doesn't have to be all the way on, it can be partially off. I'm going to add this guy here, and then this guy here. I don't know. I think I'm just going to add this guy here. 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 I thought about adding these, but then I don't know that I'm going to, though. No, I do want to add it on this one. I'm going to add this guy here. Okay, I'm going to add this little guy here. And move these out of the way so they don't get bent. And this little guy, I think I'm just going to do myself. Set this aside. I don't want to lose my magnet. I've broken so many magnets over the years. Okay. There we go. All right, I'm going to add this little flourish down here because I want to. But I think that I moved that too far over. Okay. I'm not the best at priming my stamps. I just kind of go for it. I'm going to do this in the walnut stain. Which the walnut stain in the oxide is very different than the walnut stain in the distress ink. So I might actually go back and do all these in the distress ink. So I want just a hint of, see, I want just a hint of it. I didn't want something, you know, really loud, so that works. Perfect. Okay, let me set that aside. And then let's just stick with Merry Christmas. And we can put that guy right there. Merry Christmas. Well, once I pick it up, I can make sure that it's centered. Or that it's straight, right? Or not. My black ink. Making such a mess. Merry Christmas. All right, set that aside. Move this over a little bit. We'll do Merry Christmas. And do we need one of these little guys here? I don't know if we do, but I I think I'm going to do it. All right, let's take Merry Christmas off. Having the magnet on there helps. Helps to keep it in place. Surprising, huh? Have I been on camera for any of this? Alrighty. And then, let's see. These are fantastic, so I don't really know what I'm going to put on this as far as a sentiment goes. Unless I do, you know, unless I did something. You know what? I'm not going to, because this takes up so much of that space. And it looks fantastic. I'm not going to mess with that one. I am going to put something on this one. I think I'm going to put it right down here. So do we do Merry Christmas again? I feel like it needs to be something kind of stacked. So let me go to this guy. And I think I'm going to do maybe a Joy to the World. And then these have a set of, I think, sentiments that go with their collection. So let's see. Where is that set? I've got stuff all over, so I'm not really sure. All right, let's do Merry and Bright on this one. Is that crooked? It doesn't matter. Merry and Bright. I don't see Holiday Wishes. Like, where did it go? Did I pull it off or something? I might have pulled it off by accident. Let me clean this off. All right, let's see what's in here. Farm Fresh Christmas Tree, Season's Greetings. We can do Season's Greetings. And you guessed it, we're going to do that right here. I think I'm going to do the Farm Fresh Christmas trees on this one. I think that'll be perfect. So cute. All right, something nice and big on this one. Right in the center of it. Let's go back to our Simon Says stamp. And we'll do Merry and Bright right in the center. We'll do the large Merry and Bright. And I'm eyeballing it. So it'll definitely be crooked. All right. Try to get some of that center in there. Perfect. Merry and bright. All right. So it leaves me with these two. And maybe I just don't do anything with these. This one I don't do anything with, and it is fine. This one may need a little something. What if I did these little corners on this? Is that right? That's right. Because it's just a hint of color. Actually, I could do it in a color instead of just brown. Do we want red? Let's do a red. That's really going to stand out, but I'm okay with that. If we don't like it, you know, we don't like it. We tried something different though. Let's do it in this lumberjack plaid and get some color in there. Perfect. And then I wonder, should it go in the top corner too or not? I mean, because those don't really, I mean, I could do it down there. Do I do it here or is that overkill? I think that's overkill. I'm just going to leave it on that one side, but I do want to stamp it. And maybe the sentiment that I stamp on this one, I do it in color as well. So let's find maybe this Noel. Let's do this Noel right here. And we'll do it in the red. It's very thin lines, so it's not going to be overpowering, but look at that. Okay, I think that we're done. I think that we're done with that. Let me clean this off and set these aside so I don't lose them. I'm just going to keep them on the stamping platform for now. All right. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to add the reinforcers and then I'm going to distress the edges and then I'll come back and show you what they look like. All right, I've got them all inked up and wanted to show you what they look like completed. Look at that. Let me bring this one up close so you can see. I really like the way that this one turned out. Here's our Farm Fresh Christmas trees. And then Joy to the World. That huge, that was using that really big stamp. And then here's the other part. I did add the Noel down here because I wanted just a little bit of color on that. And then Merry and Bright. This is the one that I stamped with the incorrect color, but I actually like the way it turned out. And adding the bit of water to it to have those oxides kind of spread, I think really does look great. And then Merry Christmas. Another Merry Christmas. And I like just the hints of color around those. And then I did end up adding a little bit to this. I wanted a little bit of color, and then I added the Peace on Earth up here. We made 10 of them in this craft along with me, and just so that you can see the difference that the tea dye made, this is the original, and then this is the tea dyed. So it does make quite a bit of difference, and it's just, I guess probably about 2 cups of water and one of the family size tea bags. I let it steep like you would regular tea. I don't dilute it any further. And once it's cooled off, then I just take a foam brush. Actually, I have my foam brush here. Dip it in and just go by once. And so that's what one swipe of this looks like. Then to get some of these splatters after I'm done and have them all laid out, sometimes I'll just kind of, you know, tap the brush to get some additional splatters. But that's the difference that it makes. I really like the way they turned out, and I'll be adding them to my project soon. I hope that you enjoyed this. If you have any questions, put them down in the comment section and I'll be sure to comment. I hope that you enjoyed these as much as I did. And until next time, bye.